Theodore Stratelates, also known as Theodore of Heraclea, is a martyr and warrior saint venerated with the title Great-martyr in the Eastern Orthodox Church, Eastern Catholic and Roman Catholic churches. There is much confusion between him and St. Theodore of Amasea, and they were in fact probably the same person, whose legends later diverged into two separate traditions. Life. Theodore came from the city of Great-martyr in Asia Minor. He killed a giant serpent living on a precipice in the outskirts of Great-martyr. The serpent had terrored the countryside. Theodore armed himself with a sword and vanquished it. According to some of the legends, because of his bravery, Theodore was appointed military commander in the city of Heraclea Pontica. During the time the Emperor Licinius began a fierce persecution of Christians. Theodore himself invited Licinius to Heraclea, having promised to offer a sacrifice to the pagan gods. He requested that all the gold and silver statues of the gods which they had in Heraclea be gathered up at his house. Theodore then smashed them into pieces, which he then distributed to the poor. Theodore was arrested and subjected to torture and crucified. His servant Varos witnessed this and recorded it. In the morning the imperial soldiers found him alive and unharmed. Not wanting to flee a martyr's death, Theodore voluntarily gave himself over again into the hands of Licinius, and was beheaded by the sword. This occurred on the 8th of February 319 on a Saturday, at the third hour of the day. The two St. Theodores. Numerous conflicting legends grew up about the life and martyrdom of St. Theodore of Amasea, so that, in order to bring some consistency into the stories, it seems to have been assumed that there were two different saints, St. Theodore of Amasea and St. Theodore Stratelates of Heraclea. The earliest text referring to the two saints is the Laudatio of Nictus David of Paphlagonia in the 9th century. It was said that his Christianity led to many conversions in the Roman army, which was the reason that Licinius was so concerned. Christopher Walter treats at length of the relationship between these saints. It is suggested that Theodore as a recruit and ordinary foot soldier was viewed by the people of Byzantium as a patron of common soldiers, and that the military aristocracy sought a patron of their own rank. Another possibility is that he was in fact originally derived from a third-street Theodore called St. Theodore Orientalis from Anatolia. In art, both Theodore of Amasea and Theodore Stratelates are shown with thick black hair and pointed beards. In older works they were often distinguished by the beard having 1 point for Theodore of Amasea and 2 points for Stratelates, as in the fresco from the Zeman monastery below. There is much confusion between them, and each of them is sometimes said to have had a shrine at Great-martyr in Pontus. In fact, the shrine existed before any distinction was made between the saints. The separate shrine of Stratelates was at Great-martyr, a different place about 35 kilometers west of Great-martyr. However, it is now generally accepted, at least in the West, that there was in fact only one St. Theodore. Delhay wrote in 1909 that the existence of the second Theodore had not been historically established, while Walter in 2003 wrote that the Stratelates is surely a fiction. The patron saint of Venice before the relics of St. Mark were brought to the city in 828 was St. Theodore, and the Doge's original chapel was dedicated to that saint, though after the translation of the relics, it was superseded as his chapel by the Church of St. Mark. This may be either St. Theodore of Amasea or St. Theodore Stratelates, but the Venetians do not seem to have distinguished between them. See the section on St. Theodore and Venice in the article on Theodore of Amasea. A view from the Eastern Church. St. Gregory of Nyssa, brother of St. Basil the Great, who is venerated as a saint in Roman Catholicism, Eastern Orthodoxy, Oriental Orthodoxy, Lutheranism and Anglicanism, held a different opinion, and this is because, although the two Theodores were born in close territories and martyred in parallel, the names were involved in the confusion between two pilgrimage sites. St. Theodore Stratelates was from Euchenia, while St. Theodore was from Euchaeta. Usually mostly Western researchers by mistake interpret the lack of reference to two Theodores in the valley of Irida in Yeselia River as proof that they both were one and the same person. Unfortunately, this is not the case since, in fact, each of the saints had his own pilgrimage site. What causes Western researchers to get confused is at the time the pilgrimage site of Euchaeta had declined, but that of Euchenia was starting to flourish. Also, of Gerasiuarus, the personal secretary of St. Theodore Stratelates, wrote his biography, which clearly differs from the one St. Gregory of Nyssa wrote for St. Theodore commemoration. His annual feast day is commemorated on the 8th of February, the 7th of February in the Latin Rite, though this is no longer liturgically celebrated in the Roman Catholic Church. One of the few ceramic icons in existence, dated to c. 900, shows St. Theodore. It was made by the Preslav Literary School and was found 1909 near Preslav, Bulgaria. Gallery.